Up here, there's one of them walking around here. My husband's grown up here. This today is Soren, and he is a male great horned owl. And if you notice, his eyes are a little dilated, and he doesn't have the greatest sense of balance. He was hit by a car and sustained some neurological damage. We can tell that he's a male because he's a little bit smaller. Females tend to be much larger in the bird world, and they look very similar. You can't really look at them and tell if one's a male or a female. You kind of go by weight and size. But Soren's been with us a few years now as an educational ambassador. Great horns are not usually this docile. They are the apex bird of the bird of prey kingdom in Wisconsin.
No, I didn't want to go in the dirt.
Great horns are awesome to have around because they will eat anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 mice, rats, voles, small mammals, even snakes, ducks, chickens. They do stay away from dogs and cats most of the time. We've not ever heard of an instance where a great horned owl carried off the family pet. But sadly, their lifespan in the wild is only around 1 to 3 years because of habitat destruction. They will ingest mice or rats that have been poisoned, or lead poisoning is a real big concern with us right now.
What is that behind you on the stump?
That is our turkey vulture. And I'll talk about her next. Great horned owls typically nest around December, January, February. They don't actually build their own nest, they steal nests from other birds. And so, you guys know what winters in February in Wisconsin are. So they have a pretty tough time to raise those chicks. And generally, 50% of them will not make it through their first year.
Are there any nesting habitats you could make that and put them up in the trees that they would use, or would they?
I don't know. They typically, like a hawk will build a nest,
Yeah.
and they'll steal a nest from another, like a red-tailed hawk or something.
Yeah.
Any questions about great horned owls so far?
How long have you had this?
We've had him around 10 years.
Wow.
And I don't know if I said that. They don't usually live that long in the wild. And we try to feed them as close to a wild diet as they would normally have. So we actually raise mice and rats here on the property to feed them. We import chicks, and then sometimes we'll substitute with like venison or beef, depending on the bird. Fish for eagles. So we try to keep their diet as wild as like close to what they would get in the wild as possible.
Is he able to fly?
He can fly, but he can't really see where he's
Okay.
going. So unfortunately, he cannot be released.
Yeah.
And with a bird of prey, if they cannot be released, they do have to generally be euthanized. We have certain standards and stipulations that we have to abide by in order to release a bird, because we want them to have the best chance of survival. If they can't be released, sometimes we can use them as like ambassador birds, but they have to have the right temperament. Some animals and birds just absolutely want nothing to do with it, and then it's more humane to put them down. But you wouldn't be able to do this with any other great horned owl.
10 years.
But I'm going to put him back. When he starts breathing like this, you see that kind of under his chin? That means he's kind of nervous right now. So I'm going to put him back and bring out our turkey vulture. All right, so this is TV. They may not be the most beautiful, but they are really cool birds. So she is a turkey vulture. And if you notice with that arm over there that I'm trying to point out without getting bit, she was shot in the arm or wing. And so she is not able to sustain flight to find her food. So that's how she came to be with us. Turkey vultures have some really cool features. If you notice, she has those big nostrils. She's one of the only birds that can actually smell. And that's beneficial to them because they only eat carrion or things that are dead. Excuse me. And they also have feet, I don't know if you can see it, but they're more like a chicken foot. They're not a true bird of prey. That is because they don't need to hunt for their food. They find stuff that's already been dead on the side of the road or in the woods. And what's really beneficial with these guys is they have super strong stomach acid. So they can eat stuff that has maybe infected with anthrax, botulism, and even rabies, and it doesn't affect them. So they're like the, carpet cleaners of the forest world. And they do a lot, and that helps other animals who would otherwise eat whatever they found and get sick. So they're very beneficial that way. Turkey vultures, well, most birds of prey, I think I said, only live around a year to 3 years in the wild. She has been with us, I want to say close to 20 years.
Wow.
So she's been with us for a really long time. The reason for her name, DV, stands for Darth Vader, and that is because turkey vultures don't have a voice box similar to other birds. Other birds can like screech or cry out or chirp. Their mode of communication is by hissing and kind of grunting. They're very curious, very intelligent. We do try to provide enrichment for them because in the wild they would be kind of scavenging and digging through carcasses and whatnot. So we'll actually put their food into a box, like a granola box or something brought from home, and make them to where they have to kind of work for it to be able to get their food out. And that mimics behavior that they would have in the wild. We have another turkey vulture. Her name is Princess. We got Princess because she was found on a rooftop as a chick and somebody took her home. Well, they imprint within a couple of days. And because she's imprinted on humans, we tried to release her and she would just keep coming back. So unfortunately, she's here to stay. So we have Darth Vader and Princess Leia. But these are pretty awesome birds. They can, when they're soaring, they can smell food a mile away, even from way up in the sky. That's what a lot of times what they're doing when they're soaring is trying to find that food source.
Well, Kelly, I think that's the only bird that can actually smell.
You are right, hence the large nostrils.
So when you see a robin and it falls out of the nest, don't hesitate to put it back in. They can't smell you. This
That is
guy
a
can.
wives' tale. The mom will not reject the baby bird because of a smell, but if it's cold. So if you can warm it up in your hands and then get it back into the nest, the mom would accept it back.
So I'm looking at your.
What about baby rabbits?
I think they smell. I think you'd still put them back in the nest. They're very protective of their young, but I don't know.
Rejected?
I don't know that. I think there's a good chance they would survive.
What you can do if you find a nest of baby bunnies and you're not sure if mom is coming back, moms only come at dusk and dawn. So you can lay a couple of twigs or sticks, see the next day if those have been disturbed. Chances are the mom has been back to the nest then.
How much does that bird weigh? I'm looking at your.
Yeah.
Just a couple of pounds, but they get heavy after a while, so that's why I'm supporting my arm.
So Darth Vader's kind of interesting. He's been with us as an ambassador for quite a while, and sometimes he's just loose in the building on the ground when the temperature or weather's bad. And if you walk in there and like, I'm a stranger to Darth Vader, he'll come up and he'll start pecking at me. He gets naughty.
Yeah.
And then if I get too close, he'll come with his, and he'll do the. But
Yeah,
he's one of my
outside
favorite.
in the winter. They do migrate, so we do have an enclosure for them inside. And their primary defense mechanism when they're stressed or feel like they're in danger is to vomit. So
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. So since they only eat dead things and then they vomit, you can just imagine the smell. Yeah. So that is Darth Vader, y'all.
Thank you.
I think I said only live around a year to 3 years in the wild. She has been with us, I want to say almost 10 years.
I brought carrots and
The reason for her name, DV, stands for Darth Vader, and that is because turkey vultures don't have a voice box similar to other birds. Other birds can like screech or cry out or chirp. Missing and kind of grunting. They're very curious, very intelligent. You try and make them to where they have to kind of and then produce behavior that they would have in the wild. We have another turkey vulture. Her name is Princess. We got Princess because she has about a rooftop as a chick.
I think it's a wren that's on the chair in
They have Princess within a couple of days because she's implanted on the chair. We tried to release her and she would just keep coming back. So fortunately she's here to stay. So we have Darth Vader and Princess Leia.
Okay.
It's amazing. Awesome.